Hey y'all, the new year is upon us, and I know many people are getting their 2024 goals together already. But I wanted to talk about one that I feel like is big for most people, and that is how you can stay consistent. But you don't need to wait until the new year to do it, you can start now. So let's get into these tips. But before I get started, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hey y'all, don't let December leave you broke. You can start off the new year now by putting your best financial foot forward with my easy and fun December savings challenge. Check the description box below for more details. All right, y'all. So my first tip is to get you a planner. Listen, I have used a planner since like high school and probably before that. I really think that planning helps you to be able to build that consistency that you're seeking. This one that I have here was only $10 from TJ Maxx. They have them at Dollar Tree. But what I like about my planner is that it gives me my purpose for the day, the week, the month. It helps me to stay on track. Listen, I ain't the only one getting old. You know, we love to forget things. And having a planner and writing things down, for me, it just establishes things, for you. Whatever that thing is, it can be as simple as doctor's appointments. It can be as big as studying for an exam, right? But you have to get into the habit of planning your day with a planner. Now, I remember when I was working in higher education, I would always use planners with my students. But one of the things that I would always say is that you have to engage with your planner. Like, you can't just write something down and then you don't even know what the thing is, right? So for me, how I start my day is I typically go to my desk and then I open my planner and I always have it, on the correct day so that I can look at the things that I am supposed to be doing. And that helps me to just have that routine for myself, and it helps me to engage with my planner. So the first thing in building consistency is to write things down by using a planner. Now, the next thing that is so important in building consistency is getting on a schedule. So, y'all already know this, but your girl was a special education teacher for about 5 years. And one of the things that really helped me to control my classroom, to make sure that my students, were reaching their goals and making sure that I was staying on track myself, was to have them on a schedule. And we were on a tight schedule, okay? I would set timers. I was always, aware of the clock and making sure that we were staying on our schedule. And one thing that I noticed was that my students like automatically just fell into it because it was a routine. And I think that's so important, when every day is different, which some of our jobs are like that, it can put a damper on your routine. But what are those things that you can keep, consistent, right? I talked about that when I get ready to start my workday, I open up my planner so I can see what's guiding me. Maybe you have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Maybe you take your vitamins. What are those things that can help you in building that routine schedule? I think about, Mother Beyonce. That whole tour didn't just happen, because she was spontaneous this day and spontaneous that day. No, they were on the schedule. Them folks were on the schedule long before we even knew about the concert, I'm sure, right? So it's important for us to, do those same things. What is your schedule? How are you going to, create your day and maximize your time? There are some people who just aren't morning people, right? So you're probably not going to put, your heavy things that need to be done first thing in the morning. Maybe you work better in the afternoon and you can kind of flip your schedule that way. Or maybe, you are rocking at 6 a.m. and ready to go. So I think that's so important in that your schedule should match your personality, right? It should match those characteristics. So how can you create a schedule that fits you? I also think it's important to focus on 2 to 3 overarching goals for the day and break those things up into AM and PM. So when I'm working in my planner, like I typically have things that I want to complete before noon, and then I have things that are okay for me to complete afternoon. And that just helps me to stay on that schedule, and it gives me just a time frame that I need to be working on. So sometimes I think we're just trying to do too much, and that decreases just our consistency. But looking at just those 2 to 3 overarching things, and that may be 2 to 3 overarching things for the week, it may be daily, it's what fits you. The next thing is accountability. Sometimes there are things that we don't need folks to hold us accountable for. And then sometimes there are things that, we need people to be on our tails about. So, who is your accountability person? Maybe your accountability circle. Like, who can you trust that would help you to make sure that you're being consistent, that will remind you of those goals that you set for yourself? Like, what does that look like for you? And I know some people may not have that, right? But how can you gain that? Where are those people that you can find, to create that accountability circle for yourself? Lastly, y'all, what is your why? Like, what's the purpose behind you wanting to be more consistent? What's the purpose in what you're doing? Sometimes, especially when things get rocky, like I know it's easy for us to lose sight of that. I myself have definitely gone through that. But just remembering your why, like, and thinking about, my debt-free journey and why I wanted to get out of debt, to create a better financial picture for myself, to create a better financial picture for my future family, to not be on a hamster wheel living paycheck to paycheck. When it got rough and tough, when I was tired of working and I wasn't paying down some of my goals fast enough, that reminded me, that gave me the fuel to keep going. And that's something that really has to be established first. Like, are you doing this because it's a TikTok trend and everybody else doing it? Are you doing this because somebody's making you do it? Those are things that are not going to help us to be consistent. So I think it's so important for you to establish your why, get clear on that, and write that down somewhere. Create that visual for yourself. Maybe you write it on your mirror. Maybe you write it on your sticky note. Maybe you write it every day in your planner. But how do you, remind yourself of that so that you keep going and you build your consistency? Listen, I know 2024 is almost here, but that doesn't mean you have to wait until 2024 to start whatever it is you want to start on. It starts now, okay? And if you want to know more about my goals, whether that's financial, education, I want you to click one of these playlists here. Bye. I would like to get